Okay, what's going on? You're the only problem you have to do in this packet on your own is the very last one. Okay. So it says, and these are story problems, a missile is launched from a platform that is 50 feet high with a velocity of 600 feet per second. For how many seconds does it land on the ground? Which means when does it at 0 feet? So your units are highlighted, feet and seconds. Okay. X is seconds because that's your time. Y is feet. So it's always feet per second. And we have 600 feet per second. Okay, now I draw the graph. The missile heads up, but it's going to come back down. So before the 600 feet per second, we have 50 feet. And then it goes and lands on the ground, so that's 0 feet. Okay, so then I make a big, huge box here because I need to, solving these is a little bit of work. So every time it's a parabola is what that's called. I arrange it blank x squared plus blank x plus blank equals y. And then we put the gravity coefficient here, negative 16. That's not in the problem, but gravity's pulling it towards the ground. And then 600x. And then you started from 50 feet. And then 0 feet takes the place of the y. Okay, now, how many answers? Now it's just a normal equation now that it's set up. So it's got 2 answers. Okay, what method are you going to use? Now you have x to the second. You also got the x to the first. So whenever those 2 things are there, it's set boxes. Okay, so we're set. Okay, the 0's there. So how many terms do we have? We have 3. 1, 2, 3. GCFT. Okay, so the GCF, you check for negative x in GCF, okay? Now, is the number in front negative? Yes, it is, so I need the negative. Do you have x on all 3, x second, x first, but no x here, so I don't do the x, but we do take the negative. Then I find the GCF out of 16,650. 16,600, comma 50. And I got 2. Okay, so negative 2 is the GCF. So negative 2 comes out here, and then I divide by negative 2. So it's going to be 8x to the second. Okay, and then I take 600 divided by negative 2. That's negative 300. So minus 300, and I just write x down if it's to the first. And then positive 50 divided by negative 2. Is negative 25. Okay, now all of these in this packet, the chart's a fail. Okay, and on a test, I'll tell you that. Okay, so I set up my quadratic formula. Okay, the sum. Opposite of b, opposite of b, plus or minus the square root. Get 2 parentheses at the beginning. B squared to the, get the second power there, you got to remember that, minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, so a, b, c, I got to know those 3 things. So the a is, again, the a is 8, okay, the b is negative 300, and the c is negative 25. Remember, get them negatives there. So the opposite of b means I will make that positive 300. Then b itself is negative 300. Okay. And then 4. And then a is 8. C is negative 25. And then a then is 8. Okay. So first thing I do is I find what 2 times 8 is, which is 16. Okay. So I've got 300, the plus or minus, and then 16. Now I got to figure out that square root. So I go second And you got to remember this for this test, the square, because you use that many times. The square root key is right here. Okay, you got to hit second first to get to it. Now, I put a second parentheses, and then negative 300, close parentheses, and then you got to hit your second power. It's the same key as the square root button, you just don't hit enter. Minus, and then 4, 8, and negative 25. I got 301.33, so that's what I put above it. Then I go from here. So I take 300 plus 301.33 equals, and then divide by the 16. Okay, 37.58. Okay, and then the plus is gone. Now I do the minus. So then I take 300 minus 301.33, divide by 16, negative 0.08. Okay, 37.58 is the number of seconds. Okay. All right, next problem. Football's punted from a height of 3 feet above the ground with an initial velocity of 45 feet per second. Find how many seconds it takes a ball to reach a height of 25 feet. Okay, same thing going on here. There's one little bit of difference. X is seconds, Y is feet. And our feet per second rate is 45 feet per second. Okay, so again, the ball comes up, comes down. Now, before you get to 45 feet per second, you got 3 feet. And then when you land, it actually lands not at 0 feet, but it lands at 25 feet. So it won't be 0 this time. So I make my equation. So the gravity, and then 45x, 3. Then I put 25 where the y is. So, okay, so how many answers there are? 2. And then what method? Now you got x second, you've also got x to the first. So when that is there, you have to go set boxes. You can't go x squared equals x equals. But you're not set because instead of a 0, there's a 25. So I need to reset it. I didn't have to do that on the last problem. So I have negative 16 for the x squared. I've got 45 for the x. And then I have these two numbers here. This one has to get out of here. So that's a plus, so we minus 25. And 3 minus 20, even though there's a line there, you're still minusing, is negative 22. And now I see my 3 terms. So it's GCF. And then the big table. But the table fails on all these. Okay. Do your GCF though. So negative x GCF. Again, you always need the negative here because you have a negative in the front. So that's needed. X will not be needed because you got second, first, and nothing. And then 16, 45, and 22. I got 1, okay? But it's negative 1, so I'm going to do it, okay? Because dividing by a negative 1 changes it. It just changes the sign, so that's 16x to the second. That'll now be minus 45x, so that'll be a negative, and then plus 22. Now, don't waste time with the table on this packet. That's a fail. And then the quadratic formula. Opposite of b. Plus or minus the square root b squared. Squared means you got to get the second power, minus 4ac. On bottom you got 2a. Okay, so my a is positive 16, my b is negative 45, and my c is 22. So my b needs to be switched to positive 45. And then b itself right there is still negative 45. 4, and then a is 16, c is 22, and then a down here is 16. So I got 45 plus minus 2 times 16 is 32. And then I gotta figure out what the square root is. So I go second, x to the second, then the square root pops up, double your parentheses, and you have negative 45, close second power, then I subtract 4, 16, and 22. Okay, 24.83. Just put that above it. Sorry, 24.83. And now I do my math. I take 45, add 24.83, and then divide by the 32. I get 2.18. Okay, so I take, now the plus is gone. Now I do the minus. So I take 45 minus 24.83, and then divide by 32, and I got 0.63. Now we take the higher answer, which is 2.18. Okay, last one I'm going to do in the video. Football's punted from a height of 5 feet, velocity of 60 feet per second. After how many seconds will be caught at a height of 6 feet? So again, you got feet and seconds. So per and feet per second is 60. Okay, now how many feet did we have before 60? You had 5 feet. And then we land at 6 feet. Okay, then I need a big box. So the gravity negative 16, then you have 60. Then you started at 5 feet, and then the 6 feet, because feet is y, we insert the 6 in place of the y. So again, there are two solutions. You have x second and x to the 1. Okay, so it's set boxes, but you're not set because there's a 6 where the 0 is supposed to be. So I have negative 16, 60. Now I subtract the 6. Okay, and now we can put 0 there. And then 5 minus 6 is negative 1. Okay, now I see the three terms clear as day, and I proceed with my GCF and my table. Okay, so the GCF, negative x GCF. Okay, you're going to need the negative for sure. You can't do x because that last one doesn't have it. And then 16, 60, and 1 is just 1, but it's a negative 1, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And that switches these all to opposites. So that's going to be positive 16x squared. That is my A. Minus 60x. It's negative 60 is the B. And then plus 1. 1's the C. Okay, again, those are that's going to fail. So you go straight to your quadratic formula. So opposite of B, opposite of B, plus or minus D square root. B squared minus 4AC. Remember, 2 parentheses there, over 2A. Okay, so A is 16, B is negative 60, and C is 1. Okay, so the opposite of B, we switch that to a positive 60. Then the plus minus. B itself is negative 60. 4A is 16, and C is 1. Now my A down here is 16, so I take 2 times 16, that's 32. Okay, then I got to figure out my square root, so I know what number to add or subtract with the 60. So I go second, double the parentheses, negative 60 squared minus 4, 16, 1, and I got 59.46. Circle it. And now we proceed. We take 60 plus 59.46. Remember to click equals and divide it by 32, 3.73. And then I go, the plus is done. Now I go to the minus. 60 minus 59.46 divided by 32, 0.1, 0.1, 0.01. So 3.73 would be the answer I'd go with.